Is Baylor the best program build in the history of college basketball? Because I think you can make the argument that there is. There's two others that I think deserve to be in the same conversation. That's UConn for what Jim Calhoun was able to build there, turn it to a program that could win four NCAA tournaments out of 15 years.
Yeah,
and the other is Arizona, because what Arizona was before Lute Olson got there was nothing, and he turned it into a juggernaut. For like the late 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, like those Arizona teams, they had Miles Simon, Mike Bibby, Michael Dickerson,
great recruiting, great recruiting. But UConn, and I'd probably put is Baylor after that. Before out of those three, I would say Baylor's two, and UConn is great. Aren't there other teams that had like the same coach that had rebuilds that they rebuilt it? Like what was Duke before Coach K got there?
I do think the circumstances of the rebuild and how it came to be is what's going to weigh it all down. Is because why there was a rebuild. I'm like UConn is probably they're the biggest blue blood that's not a blue blood. I guess.
Yeah, you can say that.
And 4 championships will do that. But Baylor, I mean, they're the SMU, and probably the closest thing in football is probably SMU. And they didn't. I mean, we won't go into the Baylor stuff, but we've never seen anything like it. So there may have been better rebuilds, but given how we got there, I don't think there is.
Yeah, in terms of the how, like that's a great point, Troy. Is this is a unique circumstance here? This program was shoved to the basement, by a lot of people because of things that went way beyond basketball. And frankly, when you have to face that type of criticism, it becomes really difficult to be able to build culture and get the right kids and understand what you're doing. And I'm sure that Scott Drew woke up some mornings and was like, am I doing the right thing? He surely had his doubts. But what's amazing is not only is this a build-up, but you know what else it is, guys? It's a build-up in the conference that was most fit to win a national championship this year. Up in the same conference that Bill Self coaches and Chris Beard coaches. Like the Big 12 gives you absolutely no mercy. And for the longest time in this sport, one of the top narratives was, like literally maybe the top regular season narrative was, Kansas will not lose the Big 12 regular season title. They will march on. Well, the last 2 years, Scott Drew has stepped in, and he is here to stay. And that's the thing. The rebuild's complete, but I will go on record right now. This is one. Baylor's going to have number 2 here sometime in the next 3 or 4 years. I'm buying this stock. I don't think this is like a lone title thing. To me, they are going to be a machine. Scott Drew reminds me, like his culture, his emotion, that smile, that charm. Scott Drew has charm, in my opinion. It kind of gives me Jay Wright vibes. Scott Drew gives me Jay Wright vibes. He does.
But he's not the dresser.
No, he's not as cool. He's not as cool as Jay Wright is.
He's got Yokel's Scott Drew's the man. I hear you, Fanta. A very
he's the man. No, he's down to earth. The good guy.
What I will say is this: the reason why I wouldn't put Baylor at number 1 is because we haven't seen it sustained yet. I expect it to sustain.
That's why
UConn did it over the course of 2 decades and a coaching change. Now, the shit kind of went to hell at the end of Kevin Ollie's tenure, but he also won a national title in 2014. Arizona has kept it going, and I do believe that if Sean Miller didn't have this, FBI investigation hanging over his head, he probably would have made it to a Final Four by now. Like he really had that thing rolling in 2014 and 2015, getting all of the kids from SoCal. So that's why I would put those two above Baylor because they have sustained longevity. And here's the other question. Where do you put Gonzaga in this entire conversation? I don't think that you can have them anywhere near the number 1 spot because of the fact that they haven't won a title yet. And I'm saying yet because they are going to win a title eventually. Mark Few will get it done. But I will say this. The fact that Gonzaga is coming from the West Coast Conference, is coming from fucking Spokane, Washington, which is the middle of nowhere. The only talent that's worse than Spokane, Washington is probably like Connecticut or like New Hampshire. That's probably the only place in America.
Can I ask you a question?
Than Eastern Washington. Hit me.